I want you to picture a scene, a really specific one that I think unfolds in thousands of driveways every single weekend.
Okay.
You pull up to your family's house, you turn the car off, but you don't get out right away. You sit there for a second. It's like a pre-entry ritual.
That pause. I know that pause.
Exactly, that pause. You check the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
Maybe you pull your shirt up a bit if it's too bold, or you quickly wipe off the bright lipstick.
Quick change.
And here's the crucial move, the tactical one. You take out your phone and you change a contact name. Your partner's name goes from Babe to, I don't know, study group.
Or Jessica, something safe.
Jessica, perfect. Then you take that deep breath, put on the right smile, you walk in. And for the next 4 hours, you are not really you. You're the good daughter.
The obedient son.
You're playing a character, one that was written for you like generations ago. So today, we are diving deep into that double life. We're going beyond just, simple secrets. We're looking at the tactical, high-stakes game young adults play to manage these huge familial expectations. We're asking, why do we lie?
Yeah.
And what is the sheer exhaustion of being two different people?
And I think it's important to be clear right away that this isn't just like normal teenage rebellion. What the sources are showing is that this is a form of emotional self-preservation.
Right.
So our mission today is to really get into the specific hacks they use to hide and then connect them back to the anxieties that make silence feel, well, safer than the truth.
Okay, let's start with the foundation then, because the whole double life is really a response to this feeling of emotional debt. The source material calls it the guilt of the return on investment child.
That's it. That's the emotional bedrock of the whole conflict. It's built on what the sources call the sacrifice narrative.
Which is what, exactly.
Well, you often have parents who immigrated, or maybe they worked multiple, really difficult, physically demanding jobs, so their child could have the opportunities they never did.
The intention is love.
The intention is absolutely love, but the unintended result is this immense pressure. The child becomes, sometimes explicitly, the family's trophy, or, more practically, their retirement plan.
So their success is almost quantified.
It is, and it creates this crushing, unspoken weight of debt. The child feels like their life, their success, it's all owed back to their parents' suffering.
It's a debt you can never really repay, and it feels like the interest comes due the minute you want something different. Which leads us to that classic conflict, right? The art versus doctor war.
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets really sharp. Career choices are suddenly not about personal fulfillment. They're a transaction. The young adult wants to be a writer, a graphic designer.
It's a chef.
A chef, exactly.
Yeah.
But the parents just see that as unstable, as a betrayal of the stability they fought so hard for.
And the language they use is it's brutal. We pulled a quote from the research that it stops you. We didn't suffer in a factory for 20 years so you could paint.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sentence is the perfect encapsulation of the sacrifice narrative being weaponized. It's not just, I don't approve of painting. It's saying, your desires are insignificant compared to my pain.
It completely strips you of ownership over your own life.
It does. And if your life is mainly about fulfilling the family's definition of success, stability, money, status, then your actual self, the part that wants to paint, has to go underground.
And that's why the double life becomes necessary.
It's the only place the real self can exist without triggering that emotional debt collection.
So if the guilt is the engine, how do people actually manage this day to day? The logistics alone must be exhausting. Let's shift from the why to the how to the tactical camouflage.
Yes.
Yes.
And it really is like operational security. It's constant, high-stakes management of information.
And nothing feels more high stakes than hiding a relationship. So let's start with the most anxiety-inducing hack of them all. The contact list camouflage.
The boss's calling maneuver.
Exactly. You just cannot risk the wrong name popping up on your screen.
Especially if your parents are still on the phone plan.
Oh, absolutely. So the research details this whole elaborate system. A significant other's number gets saved under a totally bland fake name.
Like customer service or dry cleaner.
Or a same-sex friend's name, Ryan or Jessica, so a text doesn't raise any flags. The one that came up the most in the sources was Pizza Hut or my boss.
Because that's a necessary interruption. A parent will just wave it away.
Exactly. But the real stress, the absolute heart-stopping moment, is when the phone rings at the dinner table.
Oh, no.
You're in the middle of a family conversation, and suddenly your cover story is being tested live, and your parent, totally innocently, asks that question. Who's calling you at 9 p.m.?
And you have to come up with a lie. Instantly. Smoothly.
Without even blinking. Oh, that's just my study group, or my boss needs to check the schedule. A single slip-up, just a moment of hesitation, could shatter everything.
And the choice to do this, it comes from this deep belief that my parents will just never get it. They won't understand modern dating or just being an independent adult.
Right. So instead of having this huge, painful fight,
You conceal. You choose to preserve the peace of the household over presenting your own truth.
yeah.
It feels like a protective act.
And that protection effort goes way beyond the phone. It's a total nightmare to manage online. Which brings us to digital segregation and the threat of the snitch cousin.
The snitch cousin is a real phenomenon. Managing your digital borders takes so much mental energy. It's not just what you post, it's who sees it.
And you have to assume that at any moment, someone could look over your shoulder at your phone.
Always. Which is why we see this intense block list strategy in the research. You're not just blocking your parents.
No, you're curating. It's this whole list of certain aunties, certain uncles, and, yeah, that one cousin who's known to report back to headquarters.
Which means you have to run two different narratives online. You have the public story, the sanitized one.
That's the graduation pictures, the family dinners, the modest clothes. It's the good child highlight reel.
Exactly. And then you have the close friend story, or the Finsta, the fake Instagram account.
And that's where the truth is.
That's where the truth is. The parties, the dating life, the venting about family, and the amount of mental energy it takes to make sure the right audience sees the right reality.
Yeah.
It's just staggering.
It's like you're under constant surveillance. The fear of that one screenshot from the snitch cousin, a picture of you holding a glass of wine, could lead to weeks of emotional fallout.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
And it really says a lot that people find this level of intense camouflage easier than just talking.
Well, the silence comes from expecting that if you are honest, you'll just be dismissed. Which brings us to the final barrier, right? The stigma wall.
The stigma wall is often the breaking point. This is when the young adult is just exhausted from the performance and they try to share something real, like, I'm struggling with anxiety or I'm burned out.
And they're met with, what?
Dismissal. The source material is full of these really consistent and deeply unhelpful responses from parents. Things like, you had a roof over your head, what do you have to be sad about?
Or you just need to pray more?
You just need to meditate, you're not trying hard enough. This is where the sacrifice narrative crashes right into mental health.
How so?
The child realizes the parent sees their struggle not as a legitimate illness, but as ungratefulness.
Wow.
The thought process is something like, I suffered so your life could be easy. If you're still sad, then my suffering was for nothing. It becomes about them, not the child.
And at that point, the conversation is over. You just retreat right back into the double life.
Instantly. And this whole system is reinforced by these specific little phrases, trigger phrases that can turn a 30-year-old with a mortgage back into a scared kid.
The two-face test. It is amazing how powerful a few words can be.
It really is.
I think the biggest one we saw globally is the social pressure one. What will people say? Or, in some cultures, log kaya kahench.
Yes, and for anyone not familiar, that translates to, what will people say?
Mm-hmm.
But it has so much more weight than just gossip. It's about communal shame.
It's a reminder that your actions reflect on everyone.
Everyone. It makes you prioritize the family's reputation over your own well-being. The community is the jury.
And then there's the direct comparison. Look at your cousin, they're a doctor.
That's the ROI narrative in a single sentence.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that you're failing to be the trophy they invested in.
And the final one, the ultimate guilt trip after all we did for you.
And that just shuts down any argument.
Mm.
These phrases work because they tap directly into that foundational debt we talked about. They're tools to regain control.
So when you put it all together, the debt, the digital hacks, the stigma, the lies, it's a massive constant performance. But the sources are clear. We don't lie because we're bad kids.
No. We lie because we love them. We lie to protect them from a world they're scared of, a world they don't understand, and to protect them from the pain of our truth.
So the silence is like a misguided act of love.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. It's an attempt to keep a relationship stable that feels too fragile for honesty.
But that silence has a cost, a huge one. The energy it takes to maintain two completely separate identities. I mean, that can't be sustainable.
And that's the core dilemma we want to leave you with.
Yeah.
The real question for anyone living this way is, how long can you hold your breath? Because eventually the mask has to come off. Every performer gets tired. And when it does, will your family even recognize the person underneath?
That's a heavy thought. The reality of being sort of displaced within your own life. We spent this whole deep dive on that internal conflict, right? The family roots, the
The
history.
struggle inside one person,
Yeah. But what if that conflict is entirely external? What if you land in a country and you don't speak the language, you don't know the rules, you feel like an alien?
where every single interaction is a guessing game.
Next week, we're flipping the perspective completely. We're looking at the intense personal anxiety of acute culture shock,
We're going to hear from people who felt like aliens on Earth.
the embarrassment, the confusion, and that moment you realize, I do not belong here, quickly followed by the thought, but maybe someday I can.
Get ready for a bumpy landing.
We'll see you next week.